Hi T3 friends, this is Mrs. Isles. This is our first video, mini lesson number 1, talking about president research. And we started before fall break talking about just getting some schema on what in the world should you do when your teacher asks you to take notes. What should you do? So we got lots of our schema together. We talked about what we already knew. We talked about things like jotting down keywords, that was a big one, and making sure what are keywords, important words, making sure we're not taking all the words from the book and that we're only picking the important ones. So our lesson today is called Trash versus Treasure. How do we figure out what words to write on our sticky note? That's our treasure, and what words that we can just trash and say, no, we don't need those on our sticky note. So today we're going to be working, we've started reading this story. It's a tour of the planet. It's a nonfiction book. And the hard part about this trash versus treasure is finding out what's important, what we need to keep for our sticky notes. So the first thing that we talked about when you're doing this skill, trash versus treasure, is always start with a research question. Make sure you start with a question. The question we started with was, what are asteroids made of? What are asteroids made of? Now we found on page 10 when we were reading the story, it talked all about asteroids on this page. Okay, what are asteroids made of? So what it wants us to do is to read and then figure out the important parts to answer our question. I'm trying to find all the words that tell me what are asteroids made of. So let me read here. Before reaching the next planet, we must rocket through the asteroid belt. I think I'm on the right track to answer my question, what are asteroids made of? Thousands of asteroids orbit the sun in this space between the inner and outer planets. That's telling me where asteroids are located, but it's not telling me what they're made of. And sometimes a bright comet flashes through the asteroid belt. That's interesting, but it's not necessarily my treasure. It doesn't answer my research question. What are asteroids made of? Still reading. People sometimes call asteroids minor planets because they are made of... Ding, 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 ding. This makes me think it's going to answer my research question. They are made of rock and metal and orbit around the sun. I think I should write this down. Do I need to write the whole sentence for my treasure, or can I just steal some important words? I think I might write on my sticky note that they are made of rock and metal, because that's what it says here. Made of rock and metal and orbit the sun. The largest asteroid is named Ceres, and it's only about 600 miles in diameter. Most asteroids are less than 1 mile in diameter. Interesting. Now, what we just learned and what we just figured out was that if I start with a research question, what are asteroids made of, I'm able to take notes on a sticky note and just find the treasure words that answer my question. I found out that asteroids are made of rock and metal. When I go to write my research report on asteroids, I would definitely want to include that in the section about what asteroids are made of. You just got better at figuring out the difference between trash and treasure, and stay tuned for our next mini lesson. Nice job. Bye guys.